गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om. Dear friends, we are in this Viveka Chudamani. In the last class, we saw Shankaracharya defining the nature of Maya. So we saw that in the Shloka 109, that is Sannap, Yasannap, Yubhayatmikano. It was a wonderful description of what was Maya. That is, Maya is neither Sat, nor Asat, nor both. And then it is neither different from Brahman, nor it is neither Abhinnam, it is not one with Brahman, and it is not both. And then it is neither Niravayavi nor Savayavi. Sangap, Yanangap, Yubhayatmikano. It is neither Niravayavi, neither Avayavi nor Niravayavi nor both. And then it is said to be something which is fantastic, which is very hard to describe. So from that, then he said, there are three, gunas, the Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, which are the evolutes of this Maya. And then in the last class we saw the description of the Rajo guna and Tamo guna. Tamo guna has one particular power called the wheeling power. Yesha avrutirnama tamo gunasya shakti. That is the power of concealment, concealing the truth. That is the power of tamo guna. Then Rajo guna is vikshepa shakti. Vikshepa shakti rajasa kriyatmika. It is of the nature of activity. It provokes a man, it propels a person into action. So this avarana conceals the truth, and vikshepa is something which promotes something else. So these two things we have seen. And what is the nature of sattva we have to see now. So this is shloka number 117. I will read. Sattvam vishuddham jalavat tathapi tabhyam militva saranaya kalpate yatratma bimbah pratibimbitas san prakashayatyarka akhilam jadam. Sattvam vishuddham. Sattvam, this sattva guna. Sattvam refers to sattva guna. Vishuddham. Vishuddham is, Vi is only an upasarga. Vishuddham is extremely pure in the sense. Jalavat, tatha, it is like pure water. And tathapi, even then, tabhyam militva, that is having mixed with those two other things. Like like having some bad friends, being associated with those two bad friends. Tabhyam militva, rajastamabhyam militva, then saranaya kalpate. It becomes conducive to sarana. Saranam is samsaranam. Samsaranam is transmigration from body to body to body. That is what is saranam. Saranam is same as samsara. In other words, samsara, samsaranam. The saranaya kalpate. Kalpate means it becomes conducive to, it becomes prone to. So saranaya kalpate. Then yatra means in which sattva guna. In that sattva guna, atma bimba pratibimbitas san prakashayati akhilam jagat jadam. So here this sattva has some characteristic. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam. So we have seen in Gita also, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobhaye vacha, etc., etc. We saw in Gita. So this sattva guna is one which is responsible for the knowledge, or rather the consciousness which is reflecting on that sattva guna only, or rather consciousness which is reflecting on that antahkarana only, which is enabling us to know things. And antahkarana, we know, is a product of the sattva guna of the five elements. Antahkarana is the product of the collective product, rather. The collective product of the sattva component of the five elements. The individual senses are the products of individual products, let us say. Individual products of the individual elements. Sattva guna of the sattva component of the individual elements. So that is what we have seen. So that is how this, because it is the collective result of all the five, this antahkarana is able to see. It is able to monitor, master all the five senses. So that is what we have seen. And then this Atma Bimbaha Pratibimbitas San. So this Atma Bimba is what? Consciousness, pure consciousness, which we call Brahman. So that consciousness which gets reflected in this Antahkarana only is enabling is enabling this antahkarana and the indriyas to cognize, to know all the jada prapancha. Prakashayati arkaiva. Arkaiva means like the sun. So here again the comparison with arka, it rings a bell from Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad says this like the Surya, the Surya Kantiya, the sunlight illumines the whole world. Whole world means good, bad, ugly, everything that is there on the world, it illumines. But then the Surya Kanti is not affected by whatever good or bad or whatever good or bad actions we do. So it is not affected, it is only illumining. So that is how this arka, this significance of that arka, we have to understand like that. Because just as this is prakasha or illumination does not get affected by whatever action we do, similarly this Brahman is something which is totally unaffected. It is the consciousness which basically gets, it reflects on this antahkarana, and it is the antahkarana which may like a thing, which may dislike a thing. It is the antahkarana which wants to do a thing, which may not like to do a thing. So these are all the antahkarana dharmas, body-mind complex. These are all the dharmas of the upadhi. Upadhi is the body-mind complex. So this body-mind complex has its own likes, dislikes, etc., etc. Its own emotions, its own vasanas collected from the previous lives and all those things. So, but then, what is the role of this Chaitanya? Chaitanya is only, its role is only to reflect on this and enable this to see. So, it is somewhat like, antahkarana is somewhat like a filter. It is somewhat like a colored glass, let us say. And light, pure light is, you are passing through that colored glass. And the light which comes out also is colored. So, it is like that. So, if you have a pure glass, the light which comes out of it will also be pure. So, the role of light is not there in that. It is only the role of antahkarana in liking a thing, disliking a thing, to do an act or not to do an act, etc., etc. So, here Pratibhimbita sun, that is Pratibhimbita sun means having got reflected on this antahkarana, prakashayati, it illumines arkaiva, just like the sun, akhilam jadam, the whole insentient things. So, this jadam also is something, jadam we have to see, what is this jadam? Jadam is something which neither knows itself nor knows the other thing. Chaitanyam is something which knows itself and knows the other thing also. Whereas the jadam is something which doesn't know itself nor does it know anything else. So that is jadam, insentient. Insentient and sentient, the difference we know. So whatever is different from the I notion, of course the I notion we are coming to that in the later subsequent say shlokas. What is the notion of I? And what is not I and what is I, that we are going to see. Then he is continuing the next shloka also. He is describing the qualities of the sattva guna when mixed with the other two. When mixed with the other two, what exactly are the say characteristics of a person? That is, though they are mixed with other two, sattva is predominant here. So we are talking about a situation where sattva is predominant and a little bit of rajas and tamas are there. So in such circumstances, how do they manifest in a person's behavior? So that is what we see. That is shloka 118. Mishrasya sattvasya bhavanti dharmaha bhadharmastvamānitādya niyamayamādyaha shraddha cha bhaktischa mumukshuta cha daivīsha sampattirasannivrittihi. So here he is making a reference to various points which were told in the Gita. Mishrasya sattvasya, of this sattva guna which is mixed with tamo guna and rajo guna, that is tamas and rajas. Mishra means mixed with them. Ete dharmaha bhavanti, that is the properties of that sattva guna will be like this. What are they? Dharmastu amanitādyaha, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, etc., etc., etc. Where did we see? We saw in Bhagavad Gita, that is 13th chapter. 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, Etad Jnanamiti Proktam. So that is Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, Etad Jnanamiti Proktam, etc., etc. 13th chapter, in the beginning itself. Adhyatma Jnananitvatvam, etc. Yeah, that is 7th shloka. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, sthairiyam, atma vinigraha. Amanitvam. We know the meanings of these things. I will briefly say, amanitvam is not overestimating oneself. Manitvam is what? Ma means to measure. Manitvam is measuring oneself as a highly great fellow. I am this, I am that, I know this, I have read so many books, I have read so many Shastras, etc., etc. You have read only one Shastra, I have read 4 Shastras. That is measurement. So he is measuring. So, or rather, you have only 1 lakh rupees in your bank balance, I have got 1 crore. So that is measuring. So manitvam is that, measuring and then estimating oneself very, very high. Amanitvam is absence of that quality. Adambhitvam, dambha is dharma dhvajitvam, that is tom-tomming to everybody, proclaiming to everybody that I am a highly righteous person. Adambhitvam is absence of that sort of hubris. Then ahimsa, we know that. Shanti is kshama gunam is, that is forgiveness. Arjavam, straightforward nature. So all these things, in about 4 or 5 shlokas, Shankaracharya, Lord Krishna explains there. Etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. So what is the jnanam? Jnanam there means these are all the jnana sadhanani. So all these characteristics, if they are present in a person, they are conducive for say realization. So that is the point there. So amanitvam, adambhitvam, etc., they are mentioned here. Then niyamaha yamadhyaha. Niyama and yama, we can, in fact, our Swamiji there, Chandrasekhara Bharati Swamiji, he has quoted from Patanjali's Yoga Darshana. Patanjali Yoga Darshana, in that niyama, yama and niyama, the broad difference between these two is that yama relates to control of external organs. Niyama, external organs, not only external organs, behavior, external behavior. Yama is something which is connected to control of external behavior, our interaction with the world. Niyama is something which has to do with inner control, interaction with ourselves, inner action with ourselves. So when you look at something, you may not openly go and grab it, but then in the mind there may be some desire. So fighting that desire or controlling that desire by rational thinking. So that is what is niyama. So yama and niyama, the basic difference is that controlling the external behavior is yama, controlling the internal behavior is niyama. There is a definition also given by Patanjali. Yama is ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, yamaha. It's a beautiful definition. Ahimsa, non-violence. When does it come into picture? Only in an interaction, isn't it? When you are interacting with somebody, the question of ahimsa comes, that non-violence. Then satyam, telling the truth also during interaction. Then asteya, not snatching somebody's property. Then brahmacharya is practicing that celibacy. And celibacy, while defining that celibacy, the Swamiji says about avoiding the Ashtavidha Maithunam. Ashtavidha Maithunam means that eightfold, it can be called a sexual act, eightfold sexual act. What is that? Even thinking, smaranam, kirtanam, etc., talking about that particular person, and then trying to speak to a person in privacy, and then just pushing on and then going and then jostling with her. So all these things, and then finally the actual act of intercourse. So all these things, this Ashtavidha Maithunam, it is mentioned, and avoidance of all that Ashtavidha Maithunam, that is, you should not even get that idea in your mind. That smaranam itself, oh, I like her, I like him, something like that. So that avoidance of that idea itself is brahmacharya. So even that has to go. So here again, brahmacharya. Aparigraha, that is accepting something from somebody. Aparigraha vratam is something which is observed, which used to be observed by lot many people, all our ancestors, all our forefathers. Not all, at least some of them must have observed. In fact, I myself have seen some people, some good people like that in one or two districts, somewhere in Guntur, Krishna, etc. Aparigraha vratam. So they just do not accept anything from anybody. So that is a type of vratam. So all these things are called yamaha. That is regulating our external conduct. Then niyamaha. What are the niyamaha? Shaucha, santosha, tapas, swadhyayeshwara pranidhanani niyamaha. Shaucha, that is internal purity. Then santosha, contentment, with whatever you have, that santosha. Tapaha, austerity of the mind, austerity. Then swadhyaya, study of one's own branch of Veda, one's own branch of Upanishads, etc., etc. So that is swadhyaya. Then Ishvara Pranidhanam. Ishvara Pranidhanam is dedicating our acts. So there the Swami comment given by Swamiji is not mere bhakti, but it is associated with karma yoga. That is offering your whatever activities you do to the God. That is putting yourself in the shoes of the Lord, as we say, and then acting according to the divine will. So that is what is Ishvara Pranidhana, that is doing karma yoga. So all these things are niyamaha. These are for regulation of the mind. So here, in this particular shloka which we are reading, amanitadya niyama yamadhya, yama adi. When he uses the word adi, you include yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, etc., etc. All those things will be there. These are all, that is a person who is endowed with this sattva guna. He will have that liking for all these things. He would like to follow these things. So the very fact that you and I are listening to, say, Viveka Chudamani shows that we have got some sattva guna. Then, Shraddha cha bhaktischa mumutsuta cha. Shraddha, that is not mere blind faith, but a sort of intrinsic trust that this person is going to lead us. This particular statement of the text is going to lead us to the goal. So that is the Shraddha, that is intrinsic faith. Then Bhaktischa. Bhakti again, two levels are mentioned by our Swamiji. That is, one is Apara Bhakti and one is the Para Bhakti. Apara Bhakti is the lower level. That is where you worship a Saguna deity. That is where you worship some God with form, attributes, etc. That is also good. It is not as though it is inferior. That is what 99% of us do every day. 99% of us, or maybe more, all of us, we do that only. Saguna Bhakti, that Apara Bhakti. And this Apara Bhakti is going to clean our mind and then give us some little bit of, say inclination rather. It will lead us to inclination for the Para Bhakti. That is what is called Ananya Bhakti, which we saw in Gita Bhashyam. So Bhaktischa, Mumutshuta, it was told earlier, that is deep desire for freedom. That is, first of all, we have to recognize that we are bound. We are having certain bondages. It is only when we realize that we are bound, then only the desire for freedom comes. When you don't have that awareness that we are bound, there is no question of desire for, say, mumutshutvam. So there may be desire for knowledge. Desire for knowledge is different. Desire for mumutshutvam is different. Desire for liberation, Then Daivicha Sampatti Rasannivrittihi. This Daivi Sampatti is another thing which is there in, say, Gita. That is the 16th chapter, where we see, say, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi, etc., etc., Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi. 1 second. Yeah, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, Danam Damascha Yajnascha, Swadhyayas Tapa Arjavam. There are about 25 say points which are mentioned there as, say, the Daivi Sampat. That is, every human being is endowed with certain characteristics. Those characteristics can be broadly divided into good and bad. So those good qualities which are conducive for knowledge, which are conducive for liberation, which are conducive for study of Vedanta, etc., they are called Daivi Sampat. The qualities which are not conducive for the study of Vedanta, which will not develop or which will not generate any sort of inclination in the mind of the person for knowledge, it will never generate any type of inclination for knowledge. So such characteristics are called Asuri Sampat, that is a demonic endowment. Daivi Sampat is a sort of divine endowment in a person. Asuri Sampat is the demonic endowment in a person. So now this Sattva Guna, the characteristics of Sattva Guna are that Daivicha Sampattihi, Asannivrittihi. Nivritti means that is withdrawal. Withdrawal from what? Withdrawal from Asat. Asat means here it is unreal, you can say, or withdrawal from or keeping away from the demonic endowment. Withdrawal, Asuri Sampat, withdrawal from Asuri Sampat. So these are all the qualities of Mishra Sattva Guna. That is, Mishra Sattva Guna means Sattva Guna which is mixed with the other two things. Now he is talking about, in the next shloka, he is talking about Vishuddha Sattva, where those Tamas and Rajas are totally absent. When totally this Tamas and Rajas are totally absent, what are the pure characters? They may not be there in a person. We are not talking about a person now. We are talking about a hypothetical situation where the Sattva Guna's qualities are this. So that sort of thing is being mentioned here. Vishuddha Sattvasya Guna Prasadaha Swatmanubhuti Parama Prashantihi Truptih praharshah paramatmanistha yaya sadanandarasam samruchyati. Of course, we are talking about a person. We are not talking emptily. We are talking about a person who has totally eliminated that rajas and tamas. So, just now I was telling you, it is not about a person, hypothetical, it is not hypothetical, it is about a person. It is about a person who has gradually eliminated. When sattva is predominant, whatever was told in the earlier shloka that operates. When sattva is the only thing which is remaining, he is vishuddha sattvaha, his antahkarana is pure. Here we can say sattva, you can also take it as antahkarana, vishuddha sattvasya purushasya, you can also take that way. That is for a person whose mind is totally pure, whose antahkarana is totally pure. So here this for the word sattva, you can also take it as antahkarana. For somebody who has totally, whose mind is totally pure, whose mind is totally devoid of this rajas and tamas, so that we can take. Or the qualities or characteristics of pure sattva guna are like this. So you can take both ways. Vishuddha sattvasya gunaha, that is because in the absence of rajoguna and tamoguna, what is the advantage? That wheeling power of say tamoguna is gone, and the projecting power of rajoguna also is not there. So these two negative factors are avoided. That is the wheeling power, that is avarana shakti, and vikshepa shakti of rajoguna. Both are absent. So in the absence of those two say hindrances, let us say, those two hindrances, a person is able to pursue knowledge in a proper way. And then he is a person who will surely get this Atma Chitta Prasada is what? The purity of mind, tranquility of mind because of purity. So Prasadaha, Swatmanubhutihi. Swatmanubhutihi means say Atma Anubhutihi, that is realization of the self. For this Swatmanubhuti, this Swamiji writes, of course he has not written much on that. That is, he only says that there is no hindrance for that Atmanubhuti. Because there is no hindrance for that Atmanubhuti, so a person who is endowed with that pure sattva, or rather who develops that pure sattva, he will be able to realize that Atman. Then Parama Prashantihi, that is supreme happiness, Parama Prashantihi. Then Truptihi Praharshaha, Trupti is contentment. Trupti is totally contentment because he is satisfied. Now I have nothing much to know. Ekasmin vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati, isn't it? We have seen that statement in Upanishad. That is, if you realize this, there is nothing more to realize. So when you realize that there is nothing more to obtain, there is nothing more to attain, you have absolutely no desires. The desires automatically drop off. When you realize that, oh, this is the ultimate thing to be realized, then all other desires will automatically drop off. So truptihi, praharshaha, harsha itself is happiness. Praharsham is more happiness, greater happiness. So greater happiness, the comment given there is that happiness which is not dependent on any other objects. So there, normally happiness, we derive happiness when I am having a nice, say, gadget in my hand, or some other thing, where something nice in my hand. So that is happiness. And that happiness changes from time to time. So after, say, about 1 year ago, it was not there. I had a very old phone. Now I have got a new phone. Now I am happy. So this is praharsha. This is not praharsha. This is only harsha. And after 1 year, I will be cursing that phone. So this is a temporary thing. It is just comes and goes. So praharsha is something where you have realized something beyond which there is nothing. Beyond which there is nothing. And you have realized the futility of or ephemeral nature of all other things. You have realized the impermanence of all the other things. So a person is absolutely happy by realizing the self. Truptihi praharsha paramatma nishtha, that is, he is quite established in that supreme Atman. Nishtha is what? Not a dedication only. Here that stage of dedication is over. It is abiding in that. He is staying in that. He is established in that. Nishchayena avasthanam is nishtha. Ni plus stha is nishtha. So nishtha, ni plus ni means nishchayena. Stha means to stay. That is always established in that Paramatman. That is, he has identified him. He knows that he is not different from that. So that sort of realization is there. Yaya means by which sada anandarasam samruchyati. Sada anandarasam samruchyati. Sada always anandarasam. So ananda is a type of, say, rasa. Rasa means rasyate iti rasaha. Rasyate means aswadyate, that which is enjoyed, that which is savored. That correct word is savor. So you savor that thing. That is what is called a rasa. Suppose you have a nice say juice or something like that. So you savor it, you like it. So ananda is also a sort of rasa. That ananda is something which is always there. So normally the ananda derived from objects, sense objects, is something for temporary. So you take something and then while eating something very, very delicious, you in fact sometimes you close your eyes, you are so oblivious of the surroundings. We are so oblivious. Sometimes it so happens that when you are happily eating, you are not even aware of what is happening around, and then you are making some eating in very funny manner. So we derive happiness in that. So after that ananda is not always there. So but this ananda is something, ananda, atmananda, this brahmananda is something which is always there, because it is not something derived from objects. So sadanandarasam samruchyati. Samruchyati means he attains. Then, so he is coming to, Shankaracharya is coming to what is called the causal body. So far he has explained what is called Sukshma Sharira, and also prior to that he explained Sthola Sharira. Shariram, this Tvang, Mamsa, Rudhira, etc., this flesh, blood, etc., is the Sthola Sharira. And then Sukshma Sharira is something which is, that is prana, that is which is enlivening, which is something like energy. Prana is somewhat like the horsepower in the body. And then it also talked about mind and senses, which are part of Sukshma Sharira. Now, when these two things are absent, then what exactly is there? When these two things, that is not, let us put it in another way. That is, what is the cause for this Sukshma Sharira and Sthola Sharira? We broadly know that Sthola Sharira is again product of the five elements, the gross aspects of the five elements, Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akashaha. Then Sukshma Sharira also is the product of the five elements, that is the product of the five sattva components of those elements. So then what exactly is the origin of that? So when you go back and then resolve back, then what appears is that all these things which are manifest have come from some unmanifest. All the things which has manifested at some point of time, Vedanta does not say that there was some God who was there sitting in the sky. Some God suddenly wielded some magic wand and then he created man, he created day, night, etc., and then he created a human being. Then for his food he created all other beings, all other animals, etc. He created a goat for the food of man, he created a deer for the food of man. It doesn't say like that. It only says, it describes a sort of evolution, a chain of being, let us say, a chain of being or a hierarchy, an evolution it describes. That is, in that supreme truth or supreme reality called consciousness, there is a manifesting power which is called Maya, and that Maya, it is in that unmanifest form. That Maya is otherwise called Avidya, it is also called Ajnana, it is also called Avyakta. There are various synonyms. So from that Avyaktam is what? That which is not Vyakta, that which is not manifest. Manifest is something which can be cognized by the mind and senses. Avyakta is something which is beyond cognition of mind and senses. So this is something which is Anirvachaniya Rupa. So that is what we saw in that earlier sloka, that Sanna, Pyasanna, Pyuhayatmikano. So there we had a detailed picture of what is that Maya. So that Maya is the cause, it is otherwise called Avyakta, it is also called Ajnana, which is the Karana Sharira. Why should you call it Sharira? The point is, Sharira, the definition, the meaning of Sharira is Shiriyate iti Sharira, that which decays, that which disappears. So this Maya also is something which disappears. Once you know the reality, it disappears. So that is why it is called Karana Sharira. And it is Karana Sharira. Why is it called causal body or Karana Sharira? Because that is the point from where the other two things have come. That is the point from which the Sukshma Sharira has come and the Sthola Sharira has come. So that is how it is called Karana Sharira. And this Karana Sharira is something which is common to all beings. That is, same Karana Sharira is for you and for me. But then your mind functions in a different way, my mind functions in a different way, and yours functions in a different way. Because this Antahkarana is different. This Deha Upadhi is different. If the Karanam may be one and the same, but different upadhis, different limiting adjuncts. Because of the limiting adjuncts, it shines differently in you, it shines differently in me, it shines differently in somebody else. So this is the variety. It accounts for the variety, or the plurality, or variety, or multiplicity, whatever you say, the diversity, let us say, the diversity in creation. Diversity is a proper word. So the diversity in creation is only because of that. And how do we know that this ajnana is the Karana Sharira? Because we have got three stages, that is Jagrada Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. We have seen all human experience is in three stages, that is, one is when we are awake, all our indriyas, mind, etc. are all fully awake. And then we interact with the world. And then in Swapna Avastha, that is in dream state, our body, this mind and senses are absent, they are resolved. Not mind is not resolved, the senses are resolved. The mind is still active. Mind is projecting its own world in the sleep, in the dream. So that is what is called Sukshma Sharira, and that mind is active there. And then when in deep sleep, both the sense organs and also the mind, all things are resolved except prana. Because prana is prana vayu, because it has to, the breathing has to go on. It is somewhat like a ventilator. Yeah? So if it stops, then it is the person is gone. So where is the mind resolved? The mind is resolved into that ajnana. Mind is resolved into that state of nescience or ignorance, and it is there in a seed form. And then when a person wakes up, the same man wakes up. When I sleep, you don't wake up. So when I sleep and wake up, it is not your say antahkarana which wakes up, my own antahkarana wakes up, because my own antahkarana is there in the seed form. Your antahkarana, when you sleep, it is in the seed form. It is in that bijavastha. So when you wake up, again the same thing wakes up and then realizes, oh, I slept so well, I didn't know anything. So that awareness that I did not know anything. Nakinchid avedisham. The awareness that I did not know anything. So that awareness is something which is there in that ajnana dasha. So that ajnana is the distinguishing avastha or distinguishing thing which shows that this is the Sushupti Avastha is characterized by this particular thing. Sushupti Avastha, the distinguishing feature of that thing is this ajnana. Or rather the opposite way. For this Karana Sharira, the distinguishing state is that Sushupti Avastha, because in that Sushupti Avastha only we are able to know about this. So we will see that. Where is this shloka? Causal body. Yeah. So this is shloka number 120. Avyaktametat trigunairniruktam tat karanam nama shariram atmanah sushuptiretasya vibhaktyavastha pralina sarvendriya buddhi vrittihi. Avyaktam yetat. So this yetat trigunaihi niruktam. Yetat, this thing, Maya, we are referring to Maya. Trigunaihi niruktam, that which has been defined by the three gunas. Trigunaihi niruktam. Niruktam is defined. Nirvachanam. Nirvachanam is a definition. Niruktam is also a definition. Niruktam here means which has been defined. So that is that which has been defined by these three gunas, that Maya, tad avyaktam. That is what is called avyaktam. The same Maya is otherwise called avyaktam. Then tat karanam nama shariram. Atmanaha, for that Atma, for the self, it is called Karana Shariram. So Atma is something which is unaffected totally. Atma means that consciousness. Consciousness is something which is totally unaffected. It is only reflecting on that Antahkarana. The only problem is it has identified with that Antahkarana. So that is why we are calling it Atmanaha Karana Shariram. Atma is wrongly identifying itself with that Antahkarana. So that is the reason why we are saying Atmanaha. Otherwise, Atma itself does not have Sushma Sharira, Karana Sharira, etc. We are only technically calling it Atmanaha, because it is wrongly identifying with this Sharira. Tat Karanam Nama Shariram. Karanam Nama Shariram means a body which is called causal body. Karanam, or a causal body. Then he says, Sushuptiretasya vibhaktyavastha. Etasya. Etasya means of this what? Of this Sharira. Sushuptihi vibhakti avastha. Sushupti means deep sleep is vibhakti avastha. Vibhakti. It divides and shows. It distinguishes and shows. Vibhakti, vibhajana. Yeah. Vibhajana means to distinguish, to divide. Vibhajana. So that vibhakti avastha means that is the state of the state which distinguishes it from other things. This ajnana is something which is common in all the three states. During Jagrata Avastha Ajnana is there, during Swapna Avastha Ajnana is there, during deep sleep also Ajnana is there. But then during Jagrat we don't find it, we don't realize it because we are so engrossed in the, say, what is projection. And deep sleep, I mean in a dream state also, we are engrossed in a dream and then we don't realize the presence of this Ajnana. Only in this, say, Sushupti, we realize the presence of Ajnana. So that is why it is called the distinguishing state. It distinguishes, the Sushupti is the distinguishing state because it very clearly this causal body is noticed there. Otherwise this causal body is always there. It is not as though Ajnana is not there in waking state and dream state. Ajnana is there in all the three states. But then in that state, it can be known, it can be identified. Then where one more point about this Sushupti is Pralina Sarvendriya Buddhi Vruttihi. Pralina Sarva Indriya Buddhi Vruttihi. That is, Vrutti means activity or modification of mind. Buddhi Vruttihi. Buddhi Vrutti is what we call Chitta Vrutti or modification of mind. So, Indriya Buddhi Vrutti. Indriya Vrutti, all the activities of Indriyas and also Buddhi Vruttis, all the activities of sense organs and also of the mind, all those things are resolved. That is Pralina. Where in that Sushupti, all these things are resolved. And where are they? They are supposed to be there in a sort of seed form. They are there in that seed form. And then when a person wakes up, then again wakes up with his own antahkarana, not his neighbor's antahkarana. So that is the point here. So then, Ajnanam. What about the one? Any more point about Ajnanam? Okay. Drashta. Okay. Then some more description about the this causal body. The next shloka, that is 121. Sarva prakara pramiti prashantir bijatmanavasthitirev buddhehe sushuptiretasya kila pratitihi kinchinna vedmiti jagat prasiddhehe. What I just now said. That is Sarva prakara pramiti prashantihi. Prashanti means prashamanam. That is total tranquility. Total tranquility means totally it is a total absence or total peace. So Sarva prakara prashanti means where all those things are absent, totally absent. What? All types of cognitions, all types of knowledges are all totally absent in that Sushupti state. In dream state also there is somewhat that knowledge is there. The mind is interacting with its own world. But in the deep sleep stage, all the types of knowledge, they are absent there. Prashanti, prashamanam. Prashamanam is withdrawal. Then what is this word pramiti? Pramiti means knowledge derived from a pramana is called pramiti. Suppose there are various pramanas, isn't it? Pratyaksha is one pramana, Anumana is a pramana, Upamana is a pramana, Shabda is a pramana. So like that pramanas are there. So for them, the knowledge, pramana in English, what is the word for word in English? Valid means of knowledge. Pramana is valid means for knowledge. The knowledge which is derived from that particular pramana is called pramiti. Pramana is the means, pramiti is the knowledge. Suppose I say my eye is seeing something. So my eye is the pramana. Pramana means the means of knowledge. And the knowledge I derive. In the case of pratyaksha, it is also called pratyaksha prama. It is called pratyaksham. And suppose I infer something. I see some smoke on that some nearby place and then say that, oh, there is fire. That is an inference, isn't it? So I know that inference. I see that I have that inference. I make that inference. And the knowledge is called pramiti. Anumiti. Anumana is the pramana. There Anumana or inference is the pramana. And Anumiti is the knowledge. Similarly, when it is upamana, the knowledge is called upamiti. So, but anyway, we need not go into that. Pramiti is the jnanam. It refers to jnanam. It does not mean pramana. Sarva prakara pramiti prashanti. Pramiti is different from pramana. Only I was only explaining this point. Then bijatmana avasthitireva buddhehe. Buddhi or this, the buddhi means what? All types of chitta vrittis, isn't it? All those chitta vrittis, they are totally resolved. They are totally resolved, where they are not gone. They are there in bijatmana, in the form of in a potential form, in the seed form or a potential form. Avasthitihi. Avasthitihi means staying in that ajnana. Then sushuptiretasya kila pratitihi. Etasya means for this person, for the person who is undergoing that sushupti. So this is very well known as sushupti. Pratitihi. There is a pratitih kila. There is a pratiti. It is so well known. What? Kinchinna vedmiti. Kinchinna vedmiti pratitih kila. Pratiti kila. That is, it is so well known that everyone feels, oh, I didn't know anything. Kinchinna vedmi. I don't know anything. I have slept so well. I did not know anything. So that is a common experience for all the people. Jagat prasiddhehe, because it is so well known. Jagat prasiddhehe. So here, then any one more point. Any Dehendriya Prana. Here about Jagat prasiddhehe. Okay. So here the description of causal body is over, and now Shankaracharya is now telling about what is called the non-self. Non-self, what we call anatma. We know that atma is one word which we use in Vedanta. Atma means the self. What is this self? Where this notion of I, that I awareness or consciousness of I, where that is there, that is what is called atma. Where that consciousness of I, that I notion or I consciousness. So that is what is called atma. And the ultimate level, what we see in Vedanta is that the real Atma of any person is that pure Sachidananda Swarupam, and then pure Brahman is the real Atma. But then that real Atma is forgotten. We have identified with ourselves with so many other things. So when we say Atma or self, I refer to myself as a physical body. I refer to myself as a person who is doing this or that or that. I am a male, I am a female, I am educated or uneducated, I belong to this religion, I belong to this caste, etc., etc. These are all the identifications which are there with me. So this I call myself as Atma. But the real Atma is something different. So, but here, what is all this non-self? So we are now seeing in this next shloka, that is 122. Dehendriya prana manohamadayah sarve vikara vishaya sukhadayah vyomadi bhutanyakhilam cha vishwam avyakta paryantamidam hyanatma. So he is making a statement. He is making a statement saying that starting from this body till Maya, from bottom to top, we are now seeing from bottom to top, that is in this hierarchy of beings, or in this chain of being, let us say, in that we are seeing from bottom to top, there is a description here. Dehendriya prana manohamadayah. Deha, the most grossest aspect. Indriya, slightly subtle. Prana, mano, these are slightly subtle. Prana, mano, ahamadayah. This aham. Aham is that the ahankara. We are referring to ahankara here, where say you are identified with the body-mind complex. Ahamadayah. Then sarve vikaraha vishayas sukhadayah. Sarve vikaraha. All the modifications of the mind. Vikara means change or modification of the mind. Then vishayaha sukhadayah. Vishayaha means sense objects. Even sukha, dukkha are all these vishayas only. Sukha, dukkha, something likes, dislikes, and all our emotions, etc., etc. They are all experiences. They are all, say, all these vishayas only, indriya vishayas only. So, all these things, and not only this, now we are graduating to the 5 elements. Vyomadi bhutani. Vyoma means sky, space, let us say, not sky, space. Akasha, as we call it, Akasha. Akasha also is a wonderful word. Samantat kashate prakashate iti akashaha. It is something which shines all over. which exists all over, is Akasha. It's such a wonderful definition. Akasha is means samantat, everywhere, all around. Kashate, prakashate, it exists. That is what is called Akasha. Where there are no limits, it is totally infinity. The closest thing to Brahman is Akasha. So that is why we get that line, Atmanaha Akasha Sambhutaha. That is the first thing which is said is Akasha. So that is what. So Vyoma Adi Bhutani, all the five Bhutani, that is all the five elements. Akhilam Cha Vishwam, this whole universe. And this whole universe, what is this whole universe? It is again evolutes of the five elements only, isn't it? Akasha, Dvayu, Vayu, Ragni, etc., etc. The whole Vishwam, that is the entire universe, is something which is Avyakta Paryantam. Vishwam and Avyakta Paryantam, right up to Adi is Dehadi, Dehendriya Pranamana Adaya, and then Paryantam, right up to that point, highest point. What is that Avyakta Paryantam? Right up to that Maya. The whole thing is Anatma. Anatma means that which can be distinguished from you, that which can be seen as separate from you, that which can be seen as a Drushyam. And you are the knower. All other things are known. All other things are known to you. All other things are objectified. It is only the self which cannot be objectified. It is only the consciousness which cannot be objectified, because it is the consciousness which is objectifying everything else, which is able to know everything else. So, Avyakta Paryantamidam Hyanatma. So, this is a very, a sort of grand statement saying that starting from body, the lowest thing, to the highest point, that is Maya. The highest point, means that is not Brahman. Highest point, we are not talking about Brahman. In that Brahman, whatever is that the creative power called Maya, up to that point, all this thing is Anatma, the non-self. Then Maru Marishika. Okay. The next shloka also is referring to the same Maya in a slightly different order. In this shloka which we just read, the description was from body to Maya. In this next shloka which we are going to read, from Maya to body, that is top down. From bottom up we had seen, from top down he is saying again. Maya karyam sarvam mahadadi deha paryantam asadidam anatma tattvam viddhitvam marumarishika kalpam. Then Maya karyam sarvam, that is Maya, starting with that Maya. Then Maya karyam, that is the effects of Maya, the evolutes of Maya, all the evolutes of Maya, Maya karyam sarvam. What are they? Mahadadi deha paryantam. Mahat is that what we call Hiranyagarbha, the first cosmic I notion. In that huge, ocean, if you compare that consciousness to a huge ocean, a huge wave emerges, and then that wave thinks that I, it gets the notion of I. So this Aham, this Mahat is something which is like that. So in that huge consciousness, in that consciousness, the first notion of I, that is what is called Mahat. And we call it Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb. That we call it golden womb because from in that only we visualize all the God forms. Whatever divine forms we visualize are all in that Hiranyagarbha only. So that is why that Hiranyagarbha also is somebody like us who is having this prana, apana, etc., etc. He is the first person with a prana also. He is also called Sutratma, he is the prana. So that is why whenever we do puja, we also do pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, vyanaya swaha. When you are offering some naivedyam to the God, we say pranaya swaha, which means that he is also a prani. He is also a prani like you and me. So he is the highest anyway, but then he is also a prani. Whatever God we visualize, he is also a prani. So that is why we hear some stories about some Vinayaka who breathes, some Vinayaka idol in Chennai, for example. There is some belief that that particular idol breathes. The people say, yes, if you observe closely, yes, it breathes. Maybe, we do not know. So, but anyway, our idea is that, our thesis rather, is that all the God forms which we visualize, they are again Chaitanya Swarupa only. They are Chaitanya Swarupa, but at the same time they are also like endowed with these things like prana. They are also evolutes. They are not pure consciousness. They are not pure Brahma. We know that we accept say reality at two levels. One is the highest level and one is the practical level. At the highest level, the truth is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The truth is that only pure consciousness and nothing else. Consciousness pervading, what can we say? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is that infinitely existing consciousness. Anantam has to be taken. Ananta is infinite. So infinitely existing consciousness is that highest level. At the second level, what do we have? At the second level, we have various types of God forms. You call it Vishnu, you call it Shiva, you call it Rama, you call it any other thing. So that is the reason why we accept anything as tentatively okay. Tentatively it is okay because it is also giving you some sort of discipline. Any religion, we say it is not, we don't call any religion as bad. The problem is with other religions only, which say that only their religion is the true religion and except this no other religion should exist on earth. That is their theory, whereas we don't have that theory. So anyway, here he says Maya karyam sarvam mahadadi deha pariyantam. Mahadadi, starting with that Mahat Hiranyagarbha, and deha pariyantam, ending with deha. Deha pariyantam, ending with deha, the body. Asadidam anatma tattvam asat. Asat means what? We have seen what is sat and what is asat. Asat is something which has a tentative existence. Desha Kala Vastu Parichanna is something which is asat. That which is beyond Desha Kala Vastu Parichanna is sat. Desha means it is confined to a place. Kala, confined to a time. We are all Desha Kala Vastu Parichanna. So you and I, we are in this particular span, time period, 20th century, 21st century put together. Then that is the Desha. Desha also we are located in a particular place. And we are also delimited by being individuals. You are not me, I am not you. So we are all confined or delimited by three factors, that is place, time and being. Place, time and say the Vastu, that is object. So you are a particular object, I am a particular object. Whereas above all these things is what is called supreme reality. So in that supreme reality, there is no such Desha Kala Vastu Parichanna. The whole universe also it is subject to Desha Kala Vastu Parichanna only. The whole universe, it exists for some time, again it is resolved back into Maya. So it is not there. So this universe itself is something which is Vastu Parichanna, Desha Parichanna, Kala Parichanna, etc. So this is Asadidam. All this thing is Anatma Tattvam. It is not the self. Because all this is something which is known to the knower, which is known to the drashta, known to the seer. So that is what it is. Asadidam anatma tattvam vidhi. Vidhi means you know. Vidhitvam, you know. Maru marishika kalpam. It is comparable to the Maru marishika. Maru means a desert. Maru is a desert. Marishika is a mirage. Maybe marishika and mirage may be connected words. Maru marishika kalpam. Kalpam is another word which we saw earlier also. Kalpate, this kalpa word is said to be a kalpa vruksha for writers. That is, it can be used in several senses. This kalpate means it becomes eligible. Just now we read in that earlier shloka, kalpate means it becomes conducive to, it becomes, where did we see that? Saranaya kalpate, it becomes prone to, it becomes conducive to transmigration. There we saw. Here, Maru Marishika Kalpam, it is equal to or comparable to. This Kalpa Dhatu is one. Bhajate also is another word. So there are certain words like that which can be used in several contexts with several meanings. So Maru Marishika Kalpam. So this asat, the whole universe is something which is asat. It is transient, which is time bound, and then it is somewhat like a mirage. So that is what he says. Then what is this self? Atate sampravakshami swarupam paramatmanah yad vijnaya naro bandhan muktah kaivalyamashnute. This is sloka 124. Atate sampravakshami. Atha means thereafter. Whereafter? Atha to Brahma Jignasa. Somewhat like that. Ataha Brahma Jignasa. Atha, after you have attained certain particular discipline, spiritual discipline, the sadhana, chatushtaya, sampatti, etc., etc. After all that, then Brahma Jigyasa, etc. So like that, Atha, thereafter, because we have also so far covered some background material we have seen. That is, what is causal body, what is, what are the three gunas, etc., etc., all those things we studied. And now, then what is the self? Atha te sampravakshyami, I am going to tell you. From te sampravakshyami, swarupam paramatmanaha, the real nature of that supreme reality, paramatma, the supreme self. The supreme self is our own self. Yad vijnaya, having known which, yat vijnaya means having known which, naraha means a person, bandhan muktaha, he gets freed from the bondage. So the first of all, the bandha, what is this bandha? Bandha is bondage. What is this bondage? Identification with the body-mind complex is the bondage. I am this. You see, I am like somebody who is like an animal tethered to a post. Isn't it? I am tethered to a post. There is a strong post which is there, peg. And then I am tied by the strong rope to that. And my sphere of activity is this only. I am like that pashu, like that animal moving just in a particular, within a limited radius, in some limited circle I am moving. So it is like that. That is what is called ajnana. That is what is called bandha. That is bondage. That is, I confine myself to this body-mind complex, to my whatever degrees are there, to my whatever social status is there. And then I don't think that I am slightly beyond this or much beyond this. So bandha is that false identification. Then bandhan muktaha. Mukta means freed from that false idea. Then muktaha kaivalyam ashnute. Kaivalyam, he attains kaivalyam. Ashnute means attains. What is kaivalyam? Kevalasya bhavaha kaivalyam. That is, kevala means one alone. That one alone is true, and that one alone is not different from me, and I am that one alone. So that is that meaning. That is the pure druk. That Swamiji writes there. Pure druk. I am the pure seer. I am the knower. I am the illuminer. I am that consciousness which is illumining all this. So he attains that particular level of understanding or realization. Then the next shloka also is like that. Asti kaschit swayam nityam aham pratyayalambanaha avasthatraya sakshi san panchakosha vilakshanaha. So here again we are getting a new word called avasthatraya sakshi. Sakshi, in the normal meaning of sakshi is a witness. That is, something is going on the street and I happen to pass by and then I witness. I witness some people quarreling, maybe something else, anything. It may be good, bad, anything. I am a witness to a thing. So here it is not such a witness. So when I am witnessing something, there is an act of witnessing. There is an act of witnessing. But here we should not mistake that there is one sakshi, there is some gentleman sitting on our shoulder like some angel, like a good angel or a bad angel, and then watching all our action. It is not like that. It is not a sakshi in the sense that he is watching something. So it is a sakshi in the sense that it is illumining everything. The sun example we should never forget. Example of the sun, that is, the sun is illumining the whole universe. But nalipyate chakshushair bahya doshaihi, something like that. What is that? Nalipyate, not chakshushahi. Some line is there in Kathopanishad. So he is not going to be affected by all these doshas, all the defects. So like that, the sakshi is something which is illumining this antahkarana. Antahkarana is having two types of chaitanya we have seen. Chaitanya which is associated with that antahkarana, which is identifying with that antahkarana, is antahkarana avachinna chaitanyam jivaha. Antahkarana upahita chaitanyam jiva sakshi we have seen. Upahita means something which is illumining it. Antahkarana is just an upadhi for that, it is illumining it. Antahkarana avachinna, it is confined to that alone. It is just confined to that, it is identified with that alone, is what is called jiva. So this antahkarana, this same chaitanya, it is functioning in two ways. So this, when we say sakshi, sakshi is something which is above. Sakshi is something which is merely illumining this body-mind complex. So this we will see in the next class. Harihi Om Tat Sat.